Hi, this is Eric from Blue Mountain Precision. Today I wanted to go over installing a Prefit RimX barrel on a Zermatt RimX Action. These are something we started offering several months ago for the Prefit 22 long rifles. Being that the sport has grown so much in 22s and recreational. It's a great caliber for both, you know, family fun, squirrel hunting, competitive steel planking, paper punching, all that. There's a lot of great things you can do with a Prefit barrel and a RimX barrel with match grade ammunition. So let's dive into some of the things on the Action first that you need to be aware of. So first of all, when you unbox it, it's going to come like this. The Action's going to be in a little bit of protective foam inside the box there, and your magazine will be sitting up on top. And then they also have some instructions here of information of torque on the rail and torquing the Action on. And then there's also a no-go gauge in there as well. That no-go gauge is pretty well over go by a long ways. So if that would ever close on that, you want to make sure you send that barrel back to whoever made it, and because it's not head spaced right, there could be a major problem there, or it could be something also with the Action as well. From what I'm finding on the RimX's, they are really consistent on the head spacing. I'm able to cut the thread tenon on here in the CNC back behind us does all that work at a 1.6855 measurement to establish head spacing, and that's kind of how the RimX whole system works. From talking with Ray and Aaron there at Zermatt, they've kind of told me at SHOT Show how the whole design kind of came about. So there's a lot of different things of why the design what it is. This extended tenon, you've got a full length short action Remington, which is awesome because it'll go in any 700 short action chassis, stock, anything like that. It'll fit into there. Might need a little fitment work on the bolt handle. This will go into a modified Remington stock, composite stock, so might need a little work there. But other than that, they've mimicked that. It does come with you know, a Picatinny rail on it, and then one of their 10-round magazines that's particular for the RimX, with an adjustable amount on the back here, a tab that adjusts your magazine height, so you can get the magazine and the round going into the chamber at the right spot. So that way it's center mass of your chamber going in, so you're not scratching lead off. So, and that's another important fact too, is the RimX's do need a chamfer going into the chamber, because that lead, if it has a sharp edge there, that can actually hit. So talking with Aaron at Zermatt, he was suggesting at least a 15,000 chamfer. So that's what we're doing in the machine that we have programmed into it, so it works well and keeps the lead from building up as excessive. You know, they're lead bullets, so they're sliding in and out of a steel hole. You can get a shaving here and there, but that just eliminates a lot of it being too excessive or scratching your bullet so it doesn't shoot as well on target. You want to make sure that's done right. So anyways, but yeah, so that's, after all that comes out of the machine, you know, we've got to mark it out, engrave it, and then go ahead and install it either on your Action or send it to you, and then you're going to install it the way I'm going to show you here. So another neat thing on the RimX as well is their ignition system. So there's a couple things that I want to hit on. So there's a go gauge right there sitting in there, and it shoulders up on a flat point on their tenon. On the very top there, you can see a round circle there, and that's all where the primer and the ignition takes place. And so it's up there against it solid. So when you run the bolt forward and drop it, now that brass is just barely either squeezing or just barely off to the point. And that's the biggest thing with setting headspace on these things, is getting that correct. So you got that just right amount of pinch point, and they're really doing a good job keeping their tolerances up on these guys, so that way the forward lug piece and the action body's made to the right point so they can maintain that measurement of that 1.6855. So anyway, so that's being said, that's kind of the, in a nutshell, that's the RimX action and the prefits that you can do for them. We check all the thread pitches, of course, to verify that they're within a unified thread spec, that you have face-to-face contact on your threading. All that's getting done in the CNC, so the threads that's laying down are amazing. So, but then there's some other features, you know, on the action that I want to talk to you about on the ignition. So on these bolts, there I just popped the bolt head off, but this is the firing pin right there, and that's what's going out to the end of it. So I did talk with Ray a little bit there at Zermatt on it, and he highly suggested that guys don't do a lot of you know, dry fire with these, or what they do is they get a cut off firing pin from them, so that way this doesn't protrude out of this bolt face here, and what it'll do is it'll ding the end of your barrel here. And this is very common in a lot of 22 rim fires, so a lot of people use snap caps, and that's a good way to do it. Being that you're going to use a snap cap, you know, for that, you're going to have to watch out, because if you're, I guess you bring the bolt up and bring it back down as dry fire, and it's going to keep everything, you know, lodged in there with the extractor. But that's one other thing I'm going to go over here too, is their extractor in these RimX actions. So anyways, but that's just in a nutshell on the firing pin, on how that works in this Zermatt RimX. So I'll try to get this guy back together here, or we'll just steal the other one right next to me, use it. Your parts are made right, you can swap things back and forth and they work quite well. There we go. Boom, back together. So just got a certain point where it goes in, and then it works from there. So anyways, but another thing I'm going to show you here, and why, and it'll be a little closer detailed here in a minute. I'll do a close-up of their extractor, and I'll show you kind of with the end of the go gauge of how it locks up, and how you could damage that when we install this barrel, if you don't remove the extractor when you're going to check it with your go and no go gauge. Make sure you're within clearances. So anyways, but that's some of the features that I wanted to hit on the RimX. One other thing, I guess, before the barrel install, we jump onto the extractor, is grab a T10 Torx in a screwdriver and remove your fixed ejector. So they have a fixed ejector that sits right down in here, and you want to remove that, because what's going to happen is your action wrench won't be able to go through. So, and you need that to be able to go through to torque your barrel on. So anyways, let's just take a second here and get the camera positioned so we can do the extractor removal, and show you why you don't want to try to single feed a RimX, and why you want to remove that extractor before you'd install your barrel. Okay, so we've got the necessary tools here gathered up. We've got a gauge here just to show you why the extractor needs to be removed and why you shouldn't single feed a RimX. We've got a small jeweler's screwdriver here. We've got a 1/16 Allen here too. So you can remove this and pop that out of there. It just takes a second. You're really after bolt face to breech measurement. The thickness of the gauge is what we're after. So that's why that doesn't have to be there, just to check the head spacing when you go to install the barrel here, which we're going to show you in a minute how to do. But we want to hit on this first, and then I'll show you how to put that back in there too on the extractor. So, but let's first take a look at this. So if you're looking at this, you'll see that underneath it there's a lip on that extractor. So this extractor is meant for a control round feed. It's supposed to pop up in like that and hold around, and that's why it only feeds out of the magazine and it doesn't single feed. because if you push this up against that, you're going to break the tip of the extractor off, cause some damage in your rifle. So don't do that. Make sure to remove this extractor when you're going to check your head spacing. It just makes it easier than trying to hold it and push it up in there when you're putting it, it's a small hole in these actions. There's not a lot of places to have your fingers in there, so this helps a lot. So let's remove this. And with the jewelers, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here right behind the extractor. You'll see a little bit of a crack there where the color changes from silver to the extractor, and you're going to come in here and push that back, and you're going to just pull back a little bit and pop that extractor out. So there's the extractor, and hopefully you can see this, but there's that little lip right there that the shell will hold on. So that's the problem with it, is this is going to hit there and break that off if you try to check it, especially with a steel gauge. You could do it too with a round, and then there's the plunger and there's the spring. So, and that's how simple it is. Now you have no doubts that everything's there. Make sure everything's clean, so that way you get a good reading on your gauges, which we'll show you here in a minute. And then that's it. So let's reassemble it here quick to show you how simple it is. They've machined this stuff so great that it just slides right in. There goes the spring. Plunger, same thing, just slides right in. And then now on the extractor, make sure the extractor claw portion is facing down just like you would. So there's your bottom portion of it, and the plunger is going to catch in this spot here. You're going to bring that right in, and you're going to hear it click. Click, just like that. It's reinstalled and done right. And then this is just sits down in its notch. It's got a machine notch. Can't go wrong on how you put it in. And now it's back together and it's ready to fire. So I'm going to take that back apart so we can show you how to install the barrel on the action, and then also show you how to check with a go and a no gauge on this barrel to make sure that head spacing is correct. So let's get back to the vise and we'll check that out. All right, back here to the bench. I've got the extractor out of our bolt and the other piece there that holds in the cartridge for the control round feed that has the notch in it. That's out of the RimX bolt, and now all we have is bolt face that's cleaned off and clean, ready to go. And we're going to install our barrel and stuff. One other thing I think mentioned before, but is we're going to pop this fixed ejector out. That's the ejector in the RimX, so that needs to come out so the wrench can slide in. It's good to show this stuff a couple of times. Don't forget that. You ding something up, you don't want to wreck it. So, and then we're going to put our barrel in. So anyways, this is just an unfinished stainless barrel. It's engraved and stuff, but we haven't done any finish work on it yet. Some guys like to get them all prettied up and Cerakote them. We do that as well if you want yours Cerakoted before we send you a Prefit barrel for the RimX. So, but we're just going to go ahead and tighten these down. We use rosin in there on the bushings. That's really handy. It's an anti-caking deal from Brownells. You can get it off Brownells. You can see they got their symbol on there. But anyways, it just helps hold the part. It doesn't mar the part. So if you're going to do it with a Cerakoted barrel, if we send you a really nice, like say, carbon fiber barrel that's Cerakoted, or a stainless barrel that's Cerakoted like this RimX, that it's not going to mar it all up. And so just put a decent amount of that stuff there and that. So when you're putting them on, they don't have to be super, super tight. You're not torquing as much as a center fire Magnum or anything like that. We're only going to be torquing this today at the 75 foot-pounds. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take a little dribble of this. This is Molly paste from Loctite. I like Molly paste, so it's not greasy or anything like that. It does make a mess, a lot like anti-seize. And just a little bit goes a long way. So I just put a little dab on there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and I'm just going to take a rag and wipe the excess of it and wipe it down into the threads. Just this ensures that the action face is not going to gather up all this moly and spread it all over your shoulder. And it could maybe take up some clearances too. So, and then another thing too is just clean side of your rag. Make sure your face is clean of your action. And then just screw it on. Careful around the trigger. I've had people comment on my YouTube before about touching the triggers and stuff. They can take quite a bit, the action body can, but don't try to push on your trigger a lot if it's installed. You don't have to take it out. You know, if you're doing a barrel swap, it hasn't been together yet or something. And then just snug that down a little bit by hand. It centered up, threads felt great. Everything else went right on. And then install your wrench. There's your wrench. Be careful on the RimX because that extended tenon you've seen on the barrel comes back. If you would slam this home hard, it's not going to do anything, but it's going to hit the back portion of the flat ring that's machined in there for the ignition system for the rim of the cartridge to sit up against. So don't forcibly slam this wrench into there. That's you can cause some damage on the end of your breech end, which helps with your ignition. So, and then we're going to get your torque wrench. I've got it set at 70 foot-pounds. They say anywhere between 30 to 70. 70's not that much on an action body. So, and torque it on. You can see I'm not really pulling too hard there. So that's done and torqued. I like to check it like I did, a couple of clicks. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to check on the gauges now. So we've already removed everything from the bolt, so we know everything's good there. Now what we can do is we can reach up in there. This is the go gauge. Mine are longer on the go and then shorter on the no-go. RimX with Zermart actually gives you one with their kit, and they do give you some torque information here of where to torque stuff to as well. Any unified machine thread you get from us on a Prefit is going to follow the same procedure that they have here. We're thread pinning everything, making sure everything's right. So, but they do have a no-go in there, and they do state in there if that would ever go in, do not fire the rifle. You know, it's not safe at that point. So anyways, and then they also give you some tooling on there too, and sizes your torque wrench you need. So, or T wrench you need, your T10 for removing your ejector blade. So anyways, this is the go. This is a Manson made go. You can reach right in there because the extended tenon just brings that right back. Everything's removed, and we're gonna drop the bolt. Just drops nice and easy. So just a teeny little bit of tension. You can just barely feel it, and that's good in a rim fire. I can already tell you the no is not gonna go because this is properly machined to the right length that we have averaged over doing enough RimX's to get the right average, so that way you get just a little bit of squeeze on your rimfire brass for proper ignition and head spacing on them. So anyways, and that's why the big machine behind me here does such a beautiful job on that. We're going to go in there with our little jeweler's screwdriver that we used on that and take our gauge out. So pop that out into your hand with that, and you got that. So, and then now we're going to go ahead and check the no. This will be the no-go. So we're going to drop that in. It's a little bit smaller, so sometimes they fight you. Nothing. See, the handle won't even drop. So this is headspace properly. There's the same way of doing a center fire rifle. Any barrel you're going to get from us that's coming out of the machine behind me, or even on our manual machine, we've got some extra engineering precautions in there of measuring devices that we use to check head spacing. You know, no-go is something that should never ever go in anything. If somebody has a no-go going into their chamber, whether center fire, rim fire, whatever, the person who did that machine works, you probably might not want to return to there, you know, or maybe educate them and ask them why. You know, everybody's human, problems can happen, you know. That's why I prefer to do these on the CNC, because I can set my head spacing literally in tenths of a thousandths. That's how well my deucing does. So anyways, this is Eric at Blue Mountain Precision. Just wanted to give you a quick rundown of the disassembly and assembly of the extractor and bolt for mounting your Prefit barrel onto your RimX action from Zermatt Arms. So anyways, Eric, and shoot straight, put them all in the same hole. Have a good day.